So the OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro were revealed last week, with the OnePlus 8 starting at $699 in the US and 41,999 rupees in India, while the OnePlus 8 Pro starts at $899 in the US and 54,999 rupees in India. So with these two on sale, is the OnePlus 7 Pro still worth it in 2020? Should you upgrade it if you already have it? Or if you're in the market for a new phone, should you get the 7 Pro at a lower price than both these two and save up some money? Let me give you an idea of the phone in order to answer all of these questions for you. The OnePlus 7 Pro follows the long set standard of Samsung Galaxy flagships of having a front and back both made of glass, curved and melting into the metal rails. Although done with the aim of making a larger phone easier to hold, what it also does is make it slippery. The build of the phone screams quality, and what makes it stand out is the color it has. This is the Nebula blue color, has a gradient effect whenever light falls on it, and it never fails to look good. The front of the phone has a display going to all corners, which shifts the front-facing camera to a pop-up mechanism on the top edge of the phone, which makes a satisfying mechanical sound whenever it comes out. The overall design of the phone is something that is going to hold out very well even in this year, given how amazing it looks and how similar the designs of both the OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro are to it. In fact, I consider the front camera of the OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro becoming a punch hole from the earlier pop-up mechanism of the 7 Pro, a downgrade. While the OnePlus 8 Pro has an IP68 certification for water and dust resistance, the OnePlus 8, like the 7 Pro, does not. But OnePlus did put up a video of the 7 Pro being tossed into a bucket of water. So, it can survive the accidental splashes while you wash your hands, or if it gets tossed into, a bucket of water. Coming to the back of the phone, we have the triple camera setup, which became an industry standard last year. It has a standard wide lens 48 megapixels f1.6, a telephoto lens with 3x optical zoom 8 megapixels f2.4, and an ultra wide lens 12 megapixels f2.2. Starting with the standard wide lens, the shots taken on this camera come out bright and sharp, especially in the natural light. But sometimes highlights are blown out and there are some inconsistent results when pictures are clicked indoors. But for most people, this camera is going to be great. Then comes the telephoto lens. It's meant for clicking great zoomed in shots without losing out on details or sharpness in the image. It is able to achieve good looking pictures with details and plenty of colors given that there is plenty of light. But when light is less, the camera loses out on details and sharpness and results in pictures which do not look great and sometimes grainy. Sadly, the same thing applies to the wide angle lens, as details are lost out on low light. But where it shines is when the shots have plenty of light. The pictures look great with a wider field of view and you are able to capture much more of what you see. When you compare the same shot to the standard lens, it appears softer and less detailed because of the difference of resolution between the two lenses, but they end up looking great with great colors and without any distortions. The camera also has a nightscape feature which is meant to make the pictures clicked with very low light look great. It attempts to bring the details out of the shadows and also works on reducing noise. It does a good job most of the time and pictures clicked come out good, if not great. The front camera also does a good job with the images clicked on it. It's 16 megapixels, the images clicked have plenty of details and also manages to get the colors right. It's a very versatile camera setup, but it lacks the serious quality that the OnePlus 8 Pro has because the 8 Pro has a much bigger standard lens and a much sharper wide angle lens at 48 megapixels. And the OnePlus 8 performs similar to OnePlus 7 Pro, if not better. And it also has the macro lens instead of the telephoto on the OnePlus 7 Pro. So the 7 Pro camera is great for most people, but if you want the absolute best, this isn't the phone for you. The display is my favorite part of this phone. It was one of the best displays of last year and still will hold its own when compared with the current year's flagships. The screen is 6.67 inches, Quad HD, HDR10 Plus certified OLED panel and has a 90Hz refresh rate. It's a very sharp, crisp display with plenty of colors and the 90Hz refresh rate is what gave it a special place at launch. A high refresh rate results in screen basically showing more frames per second than a normal 60Hz panel, which was commonly used in last year's flagships and all the years before. So all the animations and apps, the transitions and scrolling through content on screen will look much smoother. It's something that doesn't show in this video, but it's great enough that once you start using it, it's hard to go back. Although the current year flagships are all headed towards a high refresh rate of 120Hz, for example the S20, for example the OnePlus 8 Pro, along with budget phones like Poco X2 already having it, but 90Hz is still good enough if you're coming from an older phone. And when you compare the 90Hz to 120Hz, it's not much of a visual difference as it is for a 60Hz and a 90Hz panel. The display has a fingerprint scanner underneath it, which is faster detecting your finger because of the increased size. The ambient display lights up with a single tap on the screen, and you can straight away use the fingerprint scanner to unlock the phone and access it without any delays. The only two issues that I've come across so far are first the curved edges, which result in a lot of accidental touches and also make the display, in case it cracks, much more expensive to repair. Hence I would suggest get a good case for it and protect it well. The other issue that I experienced was the display burn-in in 8 months of use, which needed a replacement for the display. This was provided for free as the screen burn-in was covered under the 1-year warranty by OnePlus. So you can either get it fixed by sending it to OnePlus or visiting a OnePlus experience store in case you go through a similar problem. But apart from that, the OnePlus 7 Pro's display is absolutely brilliant to this day. But it lacks the brightness and the high refresh rate of 120Hz that the OnePlus 8 Pro has. But OnePlus 7 Pro is still amazing at its display even when you compare it to the competition. In fact, the OnePlus 8, although has a higher brightness on the screen, lacks the Quad AC resolution that the OnePlus 7 Pro has. It's a 1080p display. So as I said, OnePlus 7 Pro can still hold its own in 2020 with the display it has. As brilliant as this screen is, the performance you see on it is just as amazing. This phone has a Snapdragon 855 processor, 6, 8 or 12GB of RAM, 128 or 256GB of storage, which is UFS 3.0. The model that I used and would recommend for everyone is the one with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. Combining the excellent processor, high RAM and the UFS storage, you get a phone which is fast, snappy and extremely smooth at handling everything you throw at it. I've never seen this phone slow down except once during the Android 10 update. The UFS 3.0 means the phone will be able to install and open apps much faster, and the OnePlus 7 Pro was the first flagship to come with this feature. Most flagships have followed suit ever since the 7 Pro launched. Multiple apps stay open for as long as you need them, given the high RAM, so you can multitask easily. Gaming performance is also great given that you can play them well, unlike me, and you can go through multiple apps without any slowdowns. Oxygen OS, the UI skin for Android designed by OnePlus, has been very well optimized for the internals of the phone, which has helped in providing the great performance without any hiccups, and has been my favorite UI customization made for Android out of all the phones that I've used. This is because the features provided in it are heavily focused on increasing the utility of the phone. The gestures, the navigation bar customizations, the screen recording, native support for call recording, switching resolution from Quad HD to Full HD to save battery, changing how the phone vibrates when you get a call, option to trigger the Google Assistant on holding the power button. All of this customizability offered just to expand the utility of the phone and make the phone best suitable for you. Oxygen OS, apart from this, remains simple and to the point in its usability without any unneeded features or bloatware. So combining the great internals of the phone with Oxygen OS, which has been extremely well optimized to perform well on this phone, the OnePlus 7 Pro has a performance which is still very snappy and buttery smooth. Although the OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro are bound to perform slightly better than the OnePlus 7 Pro because of their newer chipsets and faster and more power efficient RAMs, the 7 Pro in the real world usage is still a great performer. And OnePlus phones also tend to be fast and responsive even after 3 years of use. So if you already have a 7 Pro or you want to buy a 7 Pro and intend to keep it for the next 3 years, you're safe. You're safe. Battery life has been decent. It's 4000 mAh, which seems like a good number, but when you have a massive bright display with a Quad AC resolution and a high refresh rate, it takes a toll on the battery life. The phone lasts me an entire day with 4.5 hours to 5.5 hours of screen on time, which can be extended by an extra 30 minutes when you switch the resolution from dynamic to Full HD+. The day usually starts at 9 am and ends by 10 pm and has a lot of WhatsApp, texting, Twitter, Gmail, and Instagram. If you make calls a lot, it will still last you an entire day, but the screen on time is reduced to 4 hours. On the days it doesn't last, it can charge up really fast through warp charge. Warp charge can charge the phone from 0 to 60% in 30 minutes and 100% in about 70 minutes. With 15 minutes of charge from 0%, the phone will work for another 3 to 4 hours depending on your use. What this phone does not have is wireless charging. OnePlus 8 Pro does have it, and it's fast, almost as fast as wired charging on the 7 Pro, which is pretty crazy when you think of it. But to be honest, in all the time that I've used it, I've never missed the wireless charging because of the wired charging being so fast. So the OnePlus 7 Pro at the end of the day is a great smartphone, which has an amazing display, an amazing performance, decent battery life, and a camera that is great but not as great as everything else that is on the phone. When you compare that to the OnePlus 8 Pro, it loses out on everything. This is because the OnePlus 8 Pro aims to provide the absolute best in everything given its price, especially in the US market. So if you have a OnePlus 7 Pro and you wish to upgrade it in every department, go for the OnePlus 8 Pro. If you want to buy a new phone and want the latest and greatest without any compromises and price is not an issue, go for the OnePlus 8 Pro. But when you compare it to the OnePlus 8, the 7 Pro offers a similar performance, a similar design, a higher resolution screen which lacks the high brightness of the OnePlus 8, a front camera that pops out of the top edge of the phone instead of being a hole punch in the screen, but the OnePlus 8 is a slightly better performer and has 5G on the base model. So which phone do you go for? It simply depends on which features you value the most on the phone and what kind of pricing do you prefer. So if you want the newest processor, 5G, and a brighter screen, go for the OnePlus 8. But if you want a sharper screen, prefer the pop-up mechanism of the front camera instead of the hole punch, want the telephoto lens which the OnePlus 7 Pro has but the OnePlus 8 lacks, and also want to save up some money along the way, go for the 7 Pro. You can also go for the OnePlus 7T, which currently sells at $499 in the US and 34,999 rupees in India. It offers a similar camera, similar performance to the 7 Pro. It has a 1080p screen which has a 90Hz refresh rate, but only go for it if you do not care about the design. Because when it comes to the design, 7T looks very dated compared to the 7 Pro. In US, if you can find the OnePlus 7 Pro for around $500 to $600, go for it, as you'll be saving up a lot of money because OnePlus 8 starts at $699. As for the people in India, you can go for the OnePlus 7 Pro if you can find it for $35,000. Otherwise, you can go for the OnePlus 8 as for $41,999, you get a great smartphone and a great. This is the standing of the OnePlus 7 Pro in 2020. I hope you like what you saw and like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you in the next one.